Hi everyone. In this presentation, I'll be discussing scopolamine, a drug with both therapeutic uses and some interesting side effects. Scopolamine is a naturally occurring tropane alkaloid derived from plants in the nightshade family. It was first isolated in 1818 by chemist Albert Landenberg and has been used medicinally for over a century. While today it is best known as a treatment for motion sickness, it's also been associated with disinhibition, memory loss, and even abuse. As early as 1000 BCE, nightshade plants were used in healing rituals. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and the drug was used as a part of twilight sleep, a controversial method used during childbirth that made women semi-conscious and amnetic. During World War II, it was even tested as a truth serum due to its ability to lower inhibitions and impair memory. Though it was ultimately found to be unreliable, by the mid-1900s its medical uses became more targeted, and as of today, it is FDA approved for motion sickness and post-operative nausea. So what does scopolamine actually do? At low doses, it is great at relieving motion sickness, hence the patch behind the ear, but at higher doses, it begins to interfere with memory, attention, and even behavior. This is because scopolamine blocks muscarinic receptors in key brain regions like the cortex, hippocampus, and brainstem, including M1 and M2 receptors, which are involved in memory encoding and inhibitory control. And blocking M3 receptors in the brainstem also dampens vestibular input, so even motion signals get smoothed out. This disruption can lead to hallucinations, disinhibition, and confusion. It is even used in research to temporarily impair memory, helping scientists model Alzheimer's-like symptoms and test potential treatments. Scopolamine is a non-selective muscarinic antagonist, meaning it competes with acetylcholine at several receptor subtypes, primarily M1, M2, and M3. M1 is involved in memory and cognition, M2 helps regulate inhibitory feedback and attention, and 3 is tied to the nausea pathway. When scopolamine blocks these receptors, acetylcholine cannot activate them, which lowers cholinergic signaling throughout the brain. M1 and M3 are GQ-coupled receptors, normally triggering the release of the second messengers like IP3 and calcium ions, supporting neuronal excitability. Blocking these receptors prevents calcium influx, reducing excitation in areas like the hippocampus and cortex. M2 is GI-coupled and normally reduces CAMP to dampen neuronal activity. When M2 is blocked, that inhibitory control is also disrupted, contributing to cognitive disinhibition and confusion seen at higher doses. Altogether, the receptor blockade disconnects downstream GPCR signaling, reducing overall brain and body communication. This chart breaks it down. Normally, acetylcholine binding at M1 or M3 increases excitatory signaling. Scopolamine blocks that, leading to memory disruption and GI relief. Blocking M2 also reduces inhibitory control, which explains disinhibition and confusion at higher doses. Altogether, the drug disrupts the balance and excitation and inhibition of the brain. Let's talk pharmacokinetics, how the drug moves to the body. Scopolamine is the most commonly administered via a transdermal patch placed behind the ear where the skin is thin and better for absorption. The patch releases a steady dose of 1.5 milligrams over 72 hours. Because it is absorbed through the skin, this route bypasses first pass metabolism, which helps maintain consistent blood levels and reduces the risk of potential side effects early on. It is also highly lipolytic, so it crosses the blood-brain barrier easily. When taken orally, the drug has low bioavailability due to the same first-pass metabolism. Other routes include IV and intramuscular injections, but the patch remains the most common method, especially for motion sickness. Scopolamine is primarily metabolized by CYP3A4 enzymes in the liver. It has a short half-life of about 4.5 hours. It's mainly excreted through urine. Some interactions noted are with grapefruit juice, as grapefruit juice has been shown to inhibit CYP3A4's function as well as increase overall scopolamine levels in the body. As for depot binding, there is currently no clear evidence that scopolamine stores in fat or muscle tissue, although its lipolytic nature suggests that it could be possible. Overall, the drug clears relatively quickly, which is why the patch is designed for slow, sustained delivery. Now let's get into the chronic effects. Over time, users may develop tolerance, likely due to receptor desensitization, a form of pharmacodynamic tolerance where the body becomes less responsive to muscarinic receptor blockade. Most of this evidence comes from animal studies, especially rats, where repeated dosing reduced learning ability and cholinergic sensitivity. In humans, support is more indirect, based on reduced responsiveness seen in clinical trials with repeated administration. There's no classical withdrawal syndrome, but stopping suddenly could cause mild rebound symptoms like nausea or dizziness. For abuse potential, scopolamine is not physically addictive, but it has been used in crime or in criminal settings, primarily outside of the US, in places like Colombia, where it has been reportedly used in cases of theft or coercion due to its disinhibitory and amnetic effect. While these incidences are rare, especially in clinical context, high doses can still produce hallucinations and memory loss, making scopolamine dangerous if misused.